All my grandparents are from Eesti. Both my grandfathers are from the east, and both my grandmothers are from the islands. My dad's parents ended up in England, and he was born in Coventry in the Midlands. My mom's parents ended up in Toronto, and that's where she was born. My mom and my dad met in San Francisco, and I was born in Vancouver.
All my grandparents were born in Eesti. My dad's side were from Saaremaa and my mum's side from Tallinn. Dad was born in Köping in Sweden, and when he was 2 years old moved to Australia, to Sydney. My mum was born in Melbourne, and that's where my parents met before moving to Sydney, where I was born. I'm Molly.
And I'm Hendrik, and this is our story.
I'd been travelling around Europe for a few months and wanted to spend some time in Eesti. After spending 2 weeks driving around the country and visiting relatives with my dad, I decided to work and stay in a youth hostel in Tallinn. The hostel was full of crazy Australians and locals that loved to party. I first met Hendrik when he was working the night shift. I came back after a big night out and he was fiddling behind the computer.
Well, that's not what happened.
Whatever. Over the next 2 months, we became good friends. I guess I always found it interesting that we had a similar family history, yet came from opposite sides of the world. Other people who worked in the hostel began to have fun with the idea of setting us up. My pride would never let them win, so we continued our friendship. Tallinn was getting too cold for my Australian skin, so I decided to meet my sister in Thailand for a sunny holiday before returning home to Sydney for Christmas. On my second last night in Tallinn, we finally kissed. I must have made a good impression, as it wasn't long before Hendrik was on his way to Thailand. We spent nearly a week together in Bangkok. We ate insects, got ripped off by tuk-tuk drivers, and met some very interesting locals. After our time together in Thailand, it would have been hard to say goodbye, so I suggested he come to Sydney for New Year's Eve. From then on, we'd have been together.
In the summer of 2010, I stayed and worked in a hostel in Tallinn for a month. I met a lot of great people and had lots of good times. It was the perfect place. I knew the language and customs, but could party with the backpackers. I wanted to see more of Europe and hit the road. After a couple more months of traveling, I wanted to rest and figured Eesti would be a good place. I went back to work at the same hostel. After a week or two, the manager told me an Australian girl with an Estonian background was going to start working there too. I first met Molly as I was going downstairs into the staff room to get something.
We met when you were sitting behind the computer and I walked up the stairs.
No,
And
that's
there
not
you
what
were, sitting behind the computer.
That's not what happened.
That
It
is
was
what
at the
happened.
bottom of the stairs.
That's what happened.
No, it was at the bottom of the stairs.
No, you're wrong.
Whatever. We started off as friends, but I was really interested in her and started spending more time together. One day while Molly was working at one of the other hostels, one of the staff said the washing machine was broken, so I went over to see if I could help. Only thing was that it wasn't broken and he was trying to set us up. I was too shy to make a move, but when she said she was going to Thailand, I knew I couldn't let her get away that easily, and we kissed the weekend before she left. A couple days later, I couldn't believe how sad I was. Molly and I were messaging back and forth, and a couple weeks later, I was on my way to Thailand. Estonian winter was not for me. Molly and I were together all day, every day in Bangkok. She was heading back to Australia, and I didn't want to end there. When she suggested that I should come to Australia, it didn't take me long to book a ticket. I was in Sydney for New Year's Eve, and we've been together ever since.